This is a dramatized story inspired by real debt situations. For educational and entertainment purposes only. Not legal or financial advice.
Section 1. Hook. 0. 30. $89,000. That was the number sitting on my kitchen table at 2 in the morning. Not a mortgage, not a business loan, medical bills, my own medical bills. At 42, I had spent 17 years as a registered nurse. I had helped hundreds of patients navigate the worst moments of their lives. I knew how hospital billing worked. I knew the codes, the appeals process, the insurance language, and none of it mattered when my own body broke down. 6 months later, the number on my credit report was something I never expected to see. What happened between that kitchen table and that moment? That's what this story is about. Section 2. Reality. 0-30-44. Let me give you the real numbers because that's the only way any of this makes sense. My name is Dana. I'm a registered nurse at a mid-size regional hospital in Ohio. In 2021, I was making $67,000 a year before taxes. After taxes, after my employee health insurance premium of $410 a month, I took home about $3,900 a month. I was a single mom. My daughter Kayla was 11. My son Marcus was 8. I owned a small house, $1,240 mortgage payment. Nothing fancy. A 2017 Honda CR-V, $380 a month. I had about $14,000 in credit card debt spread across 3 cards, a Visa, a Discover, and a Capital One. Minimum payments totaled around $420 a month. I wasn't proud of the credit cards, but I was managing. I was keeping the lights on. Then in March of 2021, I started getting headaches. Not normal headaches, the kind that sit behind your left eye and don't move for 3 days straight. As a nurse, I knew what that could mean. I also knew what the tests would cost, even with insurance. I waited 2 weeks before I went in. The MRI came back with something the radiologist called a finding that warrants further evaluation. That's medical language for, we see something and we don't know what it is yet. What followed was 4 months of imaging, neurology consultations, a minor surgical procedure to take a biopsy, 2 emergency room visits when the headaches became unbearable, and 1 3-day hospital stay. It turned out to be a benign meningioma, a slow-growing, non-cancerous tumor that the doctors decided to monitor rather than remove. The diagnosis was, in their words, good news. The billing department had a different kind of news. Here's the breakdown. Initial MRI and follow-up imaging, $14,200. My insurance covered $6,100. My out-of-pocket, $8,100. Neurology consultations, 4 visits, $3,800. Insurance paid $1,400. My share, $2,400. The biopsy procedure, $41,000. This one hit me like a truck. My insurance covered $22,000. My out-of-pocket responsibility, $19,000. The 2 emergency room visits, $9,600 combined. Insurance covered $3,200. My share, $6,400. The 3-day hospital stay, $67,000 billed. Insurance negotiated rate brought it to $44,000. After insurance paid their portion, I owed $20,800. And then there were the smaller things. The anesthesiologist who was out of network without my knowledge. The lab work. The follow-up prescriptions, another $8,900 in bills that trickled in over the following 3 months. Total medical debt, $7,600, combined with the $14,000 already on my credit cards, which I had started leaning on during the 4 months I was dealing with the medical situation. My total debt was now $9,400. I remember sitting at my kitchen table the night I added it all up. I had a legal pad. I was doing the math by hand because looking at it on a screen felt too real. My take-home was $3,900 a month. My fixed expenses, mortgage, car, utilities, groceries, insurance, came to $3,200. That left $700 a month. The minimum payments on just the medical bills, if I set them all up on payment plans, would run me at least $1,400 a month. The math didn't work. It simply did not work. Section 3. Emotional crisis. 2730. I want to tell you something about being a nurse and being in financial crisis at the same time. There is a particular kind of shame that comes with it. Every day I went to work and I helped people through the worst moments of their lives. I was calm. I was competent. I answered their questions about billing and insurance and financial assistance programs. I said things like, "The hospital has a charity care program. Let me get you that information." And then I drove home and I sat in my car in the driveway for 10 minutes before going inside because I didn't know how to be that same person once I walked through my own front door. The collection calls started in August, about 5 months after the first bills arrived. I had been making partial payments, sending $200 here, $150 there, trying to show good faith to whoever I could. But the accounts I couldn't touch, they moved fast. The calls came at 8 in the morning. They came at 6:30 in the evening, right when I was making dinner. My phone became something I feared. I started letting everything go to voicemail. I had 17 unheard voicemails by September. I couldn't bring myself to listen to them. My mother was the first person who noticed something was wrong. She called one Sunday afternoon, and I didn't pick up. She called again. I didn't pick up. She drove to my house. She found me sitting on the bathroom floor with the door locked. Not because anything dramatic had happened. I was just sitting there because it was the one room in the house where I didn't have to pretend in front of my kids. My mom knocked on the door and said, "Dana, open this door." I said, "I'm fine, Mom." She said, "You are not fine. Open the door." I opened the door. I sat on the edge of the tub and I told her the number. $89,000. She didn't gasp. She didn't lecture me. She just sat down on the closed toilet lid and said, "Okay, so we figure it out." I burst into tears. Not because of the money, because of the word "we." But the crisis didn't stop there. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from a collection agency, National Recovery Associates, stating that one of my hospital accounts, the $22,800 from the inpatient stay, had been sold to collections. They were requesting full payment within 30 days or they would pursue all available legal remedies. I Googled that phrase at midnight. All available legal remedies can mean wage garnishment in Ohio. As a nurse with a license, wage garnishment meant my employer would be notified. My employer would know. My coworkers might find out. My 17 years of professional credibility felt like it was sitting on a fault line. I stopped sleeping through the night. I would fall asleep around 10 p.m. from sheer exhaustion after a 12-hour shift, then wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning with my heart pounding. I would lie there doing math in my head. The same math that never worked, no matter how many times I ran the numbers. Kayla asked me one morning why I looked tired. I told her I had been working hard. She said, "You always look tired now, Mom." She was 11 years old, and she was watching me disappear. That hit me harder than any collection letter ever did. Section 4. Wrong choices. 7:30:10 Saturn. I need to be honest about this part because I think it's the part that most people leave out of these stories. I made bad choices, not because I was stupid. I was a medical professional with 17 years of experience. I made bad choices because I was desperate and exhausted, and I was trying to put out fires with whatever was closest to my hand. Mistake number 1. I transferred $8,000 of the medical debt onto a new credit card with a 0% promotional APR for 12 months. I told myself I would pay it off before the promotional period ended. I knew, somewhere in the back of my mind, that I would not pay it off before the promotional period ended. I did it anyway. When the 12 months were up, the interest rate jumped to 99%. I had paid down about $2,200 of it. The remaining $5,800 was now accruing interest at nearly 25%. Mistake number 2, I took a $5,000 withdrawal from my 403B, the healthcare equivalent of a 401k. I thought I was being practical. I told myself it was an emergency. What I did not fully account for was the 10% early withdrawal penalty plus the income tax on that withdrawal. What I thought was $5,000 in relief cost me closer to $6,700 when tax season arrived. I essentially borrowed money from my future self and charged myself a 34% fee to do it. Mistake number 3, I ignored the mail. For about 6 weeks between October and November, I stopped opening envelopes that looked like bills or collection notices. I put them in a drawer in my bedroom. The drawer filled up. The problems did not go away. They just got bigger and more formal looking when I finally opened them. Mistake number 4. I borrowed $3,000 from my mom. She gave it to me without hesitation. I used $2,000 of it to make partial payments to 2 different collection accounts and spent the other $1,000 on bills I had fallen behind on. It bought me maybe 6 weeks of breathing room. And then it was gone, and I had introduced financial stress into the one relationship that had been keeping me emotionally afloat. By December, my total debt had grown from $8,400 to just over $94,000 due to collection fees, the credit card interest, and the tax liability I hadn't fully absorbed yet. 6 months of fighting had made things worse. Section 5, Turning Point, 10 hours to 12. The turning point was not a dramatic moment. It was a Tuesday night in January. I was on my 3rd cup of coffee at 11 p.m. looking at a YouTube video about medical debt. Honestly, a video a lot like this one. And a woman in the comments wrote something that stopped my scrolling cold. She wrote, "I was a nurse too. I thought I had to figure this out alone because I was supposed to know better. A nonprofit credit counselor cost me nothing and changed everything. Stop being ashamed and make the call." I don't know who that woman was. I never replied to her comment. But I want to find her someday and thank her. The next morning, I called the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, the NFCC. They connected me with a certified credit counselor at a local nonprofit agency. The initial consultation was free. Her name was Patricia. She was calm and professional, and she did not make me feel stupid once during our entire 2-hour first session. She looked at my full financial picture, every number, every account, every balance. And then she said something I had not heard in 8 months of crisis. She said, "You have more options than you think." She walked me through 4 different paths. Path 1 was a debt management plan through the Credit Counseling Agency, a structured repayment program where the agency negotiates lower interest rates with creditors and I make one consolidated monthly payment. This wouldn't touch the medical debt directly, but it would reduce my credit card interest significantly and free up cash flow. Path 2 was debt settlement, negotiating with collection agencies to accept less than the full amount owed. She was honest with me. This is a real option, but it wrecks your credit score in the short term, and the forgiven amount can be taxable income. It's not a clean solution. Path 3 was Chapter 13 Bankruptcy, a reorganization plan where a court approves a 3 to 5 year repayment plan based on what I can actually afford, protecting my wages from garnishment and stopping collection activity immediately through what's called an automatic stay. She told me to consult a bankruptcy attorney to understand what this would mean for my specific situation. Path 4 was Chapter 7 Bankruptcy, a full discharge of most unsecured debt, including medical bills and credit cards. It has serious credit score implications, and not everyone qualifies. There's a means test based on income. But for someone whose debt genuinely cannot be repaid, it exists for a reason. Again, she strongly recommended I speak with a bankruptcy attorney before making any decisions. She also told me something I hadn't known. Many hospitals have charity care programs or financial hardship programs that can retroactively reduce or eliminate bills, even after those bills have been sent to collections. She told me to call the hospital's billing department directly and ask specifically for their financial assistance department, not general billing. I hadn't done that. In 17 years of working in healthcare, helping patients with exactly this kind of situation, I had not done it for myself. Section 6. Educational info. 12-13-15. I want to pause here and share what I learned because I think a lot of people in medical debt don't know these things. Chapter 7. Bankruptcy can discharge medical debt and credit card debt, but it stays on your credit report for 10 years and requires passing a means test. Your FICO score will take a serious hit, but if you are underwater with no realistic path to repayment, it may be the legal fresh start the system was designed to give you. Consult a licensed bankruptcy attorney. Many offer free consultations. Chapter 13. Bankruptcy lets you keep your assets and repay what you can afford over 3 to 5 years. It protects you from wage garnishment and collection calls through an automatic stay. It stays on your credit report for 7 years. Again, talk to a bankruptcy attorney about your specific situation. Debt consolidation through a nonprofit credit counselor is different from the debt consolidation loan offers you see. Advertised. A nonprofit debt management plan doesn't require a new loan. It restructures what you already owe. Your credit score may be impacted, but generally less severely than bankruptcy. Debt settlement sounds appealing. Pay 40 cents on the dollar, but it carries real risks. It can devastate your credit score. The forgiven debt may be reported to the IRS as income, and many for-profit debt settlement companies charge steep fees. Do your research and consult a licensed professional before going this route. And medical debt specifically. As of 2023, the 3 major credit bureaus announced they would remove paid medical debt from credit reports and are working toward removing medical debt under $500. Medical debt also has different rules than other types of debt. A credit counselor or bankruptcy attorney who specializes in medical debt can walk you through your specific state's protections. Always consult a licensed professional before making any decisions about bankruptcy, debt settlement, or any major financial strategy. Every situation is different. Section 7. Resolution 13, 15, 14, 45. I'm not going to tell you everything is perfect now. It isn't. What I will tell you is this. The hospital's financial assistance department retroactively reduced my inpatient stay bill from $22,800 to $4,100 based on my income and family size. That account was pulled back from collections. I almost fell out of my chair when the billing coordinator told me the new balance. I enrolled in the credit counseling agency's debt management plan for my credit cards. My average interest rate dropped from 22% to just under 8%. My one consolidated payment is $490 a month, down from $420 in minimums that were barely touching the principal. I consulted a bankruptcy attorney. The consultation was free, and based on my situation, she felt that with the hospital debt reduction, I might be able to avoid bankruptcy if I could get the remaining collection accounts into structured payment plans. We're still working through it. It is not resolved. Some months it is still very hard. But here is what changed. I stopped being alone with it. I stopped treating my financial crisis like a character flaw that I had to hide from the world. I am a nurse. I have held the hands of patients during their worst moments and told them that asking for help is not weakness. It took me 8 months of drowning to apply that same truth to myself. My daughter Kayla said something to me last month. She said, "Mom, you seem like yourself again." She's 11. She noticed. If you are in medical debt right now, if the numbers don't add up, no matter how many times you run them, I want you to know that you are not failing. The system is complicated and expensive, and it catches people who did everything right. You are not the first person in this situation, and there are people whose entire job is to help you find a path through it. Make the call, not tomorrow, today. Section 8, CTA 1445/15 to 1 good. Get the free debt checklist in the description. Link below. Link.